In the previous video, we looked at how to import a smart contract into another contract, and then also use the state variables and the functions. As a quick review, we created a smart contract called auth, which handles authorization. And then we imported this into another contract called example.vy. Here we imported the auth contract and then used the authorization logic inside one of our functions called setMyNum. The two things that we had to do inside this contract to use the auth contract is to declare that we'll initialize this contract and then to call the function init inside the constructor. But what if we wanted to extend the auth contract before using it in our final contract? So for example, let's say that we have auth two-step. What I want to do here is import the auth contract, extend it, so to modify it, and then use it in another contract. This is our final contract where we will import the auth two-step and then use the functionalities from the auth two-step contract. To do this, what we need to do is use the keyword called use. The use keyword will allow us to import other contracts without initializing it. The initialization will happen in the final contract. In our example, this will be inside example 2. Okay, so in this video, let me show you an example of how to turn the auth two-step contract so that we'll be able to initialize it inside here using the keyword use. Okay, so let's go to auth two-step. Let me first give you a quick review of what's going inside here. It imports the auth contract and then says it initializes it. The way it's going to extend the auth contract is that it's going to have a state variable called pending owner, where only the current owner will be able to set the pending owner. And then to become the new owner of the contract, the pending owner must call the function accept transfer. And currently it's using the code from the auth contract to check authorization. Make sure that only the current owner will be able to set the pending owner. And notice that inside the constructor, it's also initializing the auth contract. We want to defer the initialization of the auth contract until this contract calls it. To do this, let's go back to the auth two-step contract and we'll remove this initialization of the auth contract. Next, we'll replace this initializes with the keyword called uses. This will tell Vyper that we're not going to initialize the auth contract inside this contract. The auth contract will be initialized in the final contract that's going to be using the auth two-step contract. Okay, let's now go to our example 2 contract where we import the auth two-step contract. So here we'll also need to initialize the auth contract. So let's import this. Import auth. Then inside here we'll call auth.init. And like in the example of example 1, where we declare that it initializes the auth contract, we'll need to do the same over here. So type initializes auth, and then we'll also have to say initializes for auth two-step. Initializes auth two-step. Now, since the logic of auth two-step depends on the logic of auth, the auth contract is a dependency of the auth two-step contract. So we'll need to declare this. And the way we'll do this is by saying auth equals auth. This declares that the auth contract is a dependency of the auth two-step contract. Okay, so this is an example of how you will use the uses keyword. Let's try compiling the contract. Inside the terminal, I'll type Vyper, and I also want to print out the ABI, so I'll type -f ABI, and then the name of the contract, example2.vy. I also want to make the ABI that we printed out pretty, so I'll pipe this into another Linux command called jq. Okay, so this is the ABI that was produced. Notice that it only has one function called the constructor. Going back, but what we want to do is also be able to export these two functions, begin transfer and accept transfer. So to do this, from the previous video, we learned that we can export the functions by explicitly typing exports and then followed by the name of the functions that we want to export. Auth two-step dot begin transfer and auth two-step dot accept transfer. However, there's an easier way to do this. When we want to export all of the functions inside a contract, we can say exports and then type auth two-step dot underscore interface underscore. Okay, let's try compiling again. Type the same command again, and we get more functions that are exposed. Here we can see that the function accept transfer and the function begin transfer are all exported.